Consider supporting Dan the Fireman on Patreon for just $1 a month. More information in the link below.
What is up, everybody? Dan the Fireman here. I'm going to get some gas and I'm going to talk to you about motorcycle responsibilities. More so, motorcyclist responsibilities. It's not always the car's fault, to be quite honest. A lot of the times it is the motorcyclist's fault. And an accident really does imply that no one's at fault. There's usually something. There's usually the motorcyclist going too fast, the motorcyclist, weaving in and out of traffic, or the car pulling out in front of somebody like that happened to my buddy. And what we call it in the fire service and other places, it's a collision. Let's kind of talk about how to avoid that as a motorcyclist. So guys, this is part of my motorcycle permit test and video series to get you kind of prepared for it. If you like this and you want to know more about this, please click that subscribe button. Right next to it is the notification bell button, and when you click that, you'll be notified every single time I post a video. All right, let's go ahead and get this fixed up and we'll go ahead and chit chat. But first off, I am not reading my phone verbatim. They're just little bullet points that will keep me on track. I'll just look down real quick, see what I have to talk about, but I am definitely keeping my eyes on the road, so do not worry about that. So number one is be visible. You have to be visible. You have to be seen. I like white, that's why I have a white jacket, I have a white helmet, and I'm actually gonna be looking at some helmets that are gonna be not black, because black, it's kind of hard to see, especially when you're on a bike. You need to be visible to everything. So white, high vis, you need to have the appropriate gear to do that, to be visible. Use your headlight. I know for, I think almost all motorcycles, to be quite honest, their headlight is always on, always on. I recommend using your brights during the day if you can, if you don't piss anybody off, but you need to be visible to oncoming traffic that way. And same thing with the lights in the rear. It's kind of cool to have maybe one tail light. You really just need to have brake lights in Arizona. You don't even need to have turn signals in Arizona, but guys, you need to have some type of light in the back so that people can see you when they're behind you. Also, you need to pick the best lane possible. I talked about this in one of my last videos about, preparing for the motorcycle permit test. You got lane 1, 2, and 3, and you need to pick the best lane possible. Right now, lane 1 is probably gonna be the best because of these people coming around this turn is gonna be blind. I'm out here, I'm seen, I'm able to be seen. People behind me are able to see me, and you just have to pick the best lane so that you are seen. So be visible. And once again, I talked about this in my last video, is that you need to communicate your intentions. You have to basically tell people what you're gonna do. So right here, this is a left turn lane. I am in the left turn lane and I have my left blinker on. Now, if you don't have blinkers, like I mentioned, you just need brake lights in Arizona. If you don't have blinkers, still at least use hand signals. Learn the hand signals if your blinkers run out. If your brake lights for some reason break or your turn signals break while you're riding, it's good to know that you know how to use hand signals. Use your horn if you have to. If your intention is to not get hit and this guy's hitting the brakes on you, first of all, hit the brakes and then honk your horn if you have to. You're not gonna be able to yell loud enough, and your revving is not gonna do anything. It's just gonna freak somebody out. They don't think revving means that there's a motorcyclist. They know that if they get honked at, that means they're doing something wrong. They're gonna look for that vehicle that is honking. They're not gonna look for somebody revving their engine. So communicate your intentions in that way. Now, I know a lot of this stuff sounds like my last video, but this is just gonna be the quick and easy, and there's some things in there that I felt like I didn't elaborate on, and one of them was maintaining an adequate space. Right now I have this car in front of me, he's switching lanes, I got a ton of room in front of me. This is an adequate space for me. I'm in lane 2. The guy in my blind spot to my right is not giving me an adequate space. At least I'm not comfortable with it. And then behind me, I have plenty of room, but you really need to create this big space cushion. You need to have this cushion to where you have escape routes. Like right now, I could swerve left if I have to. I have enough room in the right to switch lanes and then apply the brakes or accelerate if I have to. But right now, I have plenty of room in here. So when you're following somebody, you want to have that cushion. Because remember, brakes on a bike, waving to these guys, brakes on a bike are not as good as brakes on a car. You are going to slide a lot further while applying the brakes, especially if you don't have ABS and you just lock up your brakes. You probably will just fall or crash, or you're going to skid right into the car in front of you. So a lot of the times having that adequate space cushion is going to be, which it will allow you to hit the brakes to slow down, but then also swerve around if you absolutely have to. Remember, braking is not always the end-all be-all to avoid a collision. You can swerve. We are a small vehicle. We can, as most of you know, in California, you can lane split, so you have that space between cars that you can totally get around. So swerving is a very viable option, and the only way you're going to have that time, the only way you're going to have that visibility is if you give yourself that adequate space. So the next thing you got to do is search your path of travel 12 seconds ahead. Now, if you notice, it's not 100 feet ahead, 200 feet ahead, 500 feet ahead, it's 12 seconds. Now, the reason why I believe that's that, and I'm getting all this information from the permit book for Arizona, is that 500 feet ahead is different when you're going 20 miles an hour versus 60 miles an hour on the interstate. 12 seconds ahead is like that percentage where it's always going to be 12 seconds ahead. So 12 seconds ahead at 60 miles an hour is pretty damn far out there. 12 seconds ahead for right now at my speed at 35 miles an hour is probably that light right up ahead. So right now I need to visualize what is happening. So these people are coming out and doing a left turn lane. I have an intersection right here. I have a car on the right wanting to merge in with us. He's probably going to merge in front of me. Oh, light turned yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and slow down. See, these are all things you need to see 12 seconds ahead. And I'm going to add a little bit to that. You need to be able to look behind you. You need to have, yes, I know, I get comments about my one single mirror down here. It looks stupid. You're not on my bike, first off, and I can see perfectly fine with that one mirror. Now, having two mirrors, is it better? Yes, it is, but I have my GoPro here, so it allows me to have better content for you guys. So right now I'm looking, there's a blue car behind me. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, there's a blue car behind me, and I got 12 seconds ahead, I got this next light, and I got some cars here. So you just kind of have to visualize, and you have to be situationally aware, because when you're going 60 miles an hour, you really need to be aware, because, man, things will come up to you quick. So the next thing you need to do is identify hazards and basically separate them from you. I was talking about that with the 12 seconds ahead portion of this video, but definitely identify the hazards. Like I mentioned, that car coming out. I have this car right here. He's not going to get to me because there's that median, but you never know. There could be a car wanting to pull out of all these little places, so you have to be aware of that. So identify and eliminate those. I mentioned that in my video up here in the upper right about picking that lane that is best for you. So right now I'm going to be getting in this lane. I'm going to be in lane 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to stay in lane 1 so that people can see me. Now these hazards of these people turning left into this lane that I'm going to, I'm identifying them. I notice that there's nothing there. This is a green light for me now, and I am moving forward, staying in my lane. Now this car right here is a hazard, and they're staying in their lane. So I'm focusing and not tunnel visioning on it, but I'm identifying it, and I have ways to get away from it. So that's what you need to do when it comes to that. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope it was more of a refresher for some of us that have been riding for a little bit. But remember, this is going to be on your Arizona permit test. These bullet points that I talked about, they can or they cannot be. I mean, it depends on how your test is going to be. But this is part of the practice permit PDF, ebook, book, whatever you're going to get, however you're going to get it. And I highly recommend you check it out. I have a link in the description to the actual ebook so you guys can check it out, especially if you're in Arizona, because this is an Arizona test. But this is good tips all around. With that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll see you guys later.